Today I'm weeding my garden, so I thought that I would show you how I do that. And what works for me with my soil and my weeds and the size of my garden may not work for you. So keep that in mind. If you have a small garden, it might be better for you to mulch it with my soil and my weather and all. Mulching is not a good option for me because it's just too wet here. I'm gardening on wetlands, and if I put down the mulch, then it would keep my soil too wet and everything would drown. Uh, if I was gardening 1,000 acres, I certainly wouldn't uh, try to weed a garden this way. So this is what works for me with what I have to deal with. And the way I do it is I start off with a stirrup hoe. And this is the greatest thing ever. It is the biggest time saver and it's very easy to use. And all you have to do is drag it along the surface of the soil and it will cut off the weeds, turn them over, and when the sun hits them they'll dry up and die. And you want to do it shallow because when you turn up the soil, you're turning up more weed seeds. But there is a flip side to that. When you're turning the soil up, you're also interrupting the germination process of any weeds that are starting to germinate. The ones that need light to germinate are being thrown into the dark, and the ones that need darkness are being thrown into the light. So if I was to just go along and pull all these weeds by hand, tomorrow I'd come back and there would be, just as many weeds again because the ones that are about to emerge are still there. This interrupts it, so this is a good way to do it. And all I do is I run the stirrup hoe along the surface of the dirt. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and it goes very quickly. You see, that's all I have to do, and then I'm going to go back with a different little hoe that I made and get in between the plants. And I don't have a whole lot of weeds in this row, but I'll show you a place where I do have weeds. Okay, now I'm going to go through with this little hoe that I made. And this is actually one of those dandelion popper things. And what I did was I put this part into a vice grip, and I hit the end of it with a hammer a few times until it was bent into about a 45-degree angle. And this tool works good for me. I'll tell you, it has a short handle though, and see, I'm only 5 feet tall, so this isn't a problem for me, but I could see that if I was 6 feet tall, this may not work because it might be too short for you. But it's great for getting into tight little places, and this would be great for raised bed garden. You could weed that very easily with this. And all I do is just drag it along and break up the soil around the plants, and you can get those weeds. This little fork end on the tool is very helpful. Or you can just, drag it along and cut below the soil like the stirrup hoe did. But it doesn't take a long time to do this. And you can get into all the little tight places and not hit your plants. But as you can see, this tool is short. And it's also great for getting around your tomato plants because you can get up in the cages and all with this tool. And I'll show you my tomatoes because that's where I have a lot of weeds. Okay, I had already weeded around the tomato plants. I forgot about that. But you can see you can get up in the cages with this tool with no problem and break up all the weeds. Then after I get around the plants with the little tool, I go around the cages and between the cages with the stirrup hoe, and then when I'm done with all that, I'm going to run my tiller up and down these rows and take care of the pathways. As you can see, my tiller requires practically no effort at all. All I have to do is steer it along. It does all the work. It's not like a front tine tiller. I know a lot of people uh, probably have the vision of, just fighting the tiller when you're using it, but a rear tine tiller isn't like that at all. They're very easy to use. Even a child could handle this one. Well, that's it. The garden is weeded, and all it took me about 3 hours, and a lot of that time was spent fooling with this camera. And 3 hours doesn't seem like a lot of time to me to weed a garden this size, but I know to a lot of people that would seem awfully extreme. Uh, but this is how I do it, and there's plenty of other methods out there. You could pull weeds by hand, you could use mulch, you could use pre-emergence or herbicides, or there's methods out there that they claim that are pretty much weed free. You just have to find what you're comfortable with and what fits into your lifestyle. I mean, if you don't have 3 hours to weed, then maybe something would be better for you. You just have to, find that little niche that works for you. And I know that very often when you look at gardening videos, you'll see the picture of perfection there, and it can be very discouraging if you're standing there waist deep in weeds, and you seldom see just how people get it that way. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to show how I do the weeding. So that's how I do it. Hope it helps.